Alrighty, Stu, so just going through your pre-screening questionnaire. So what I'm going to go through with you now is your abdominal separation and your pelvic floor activation and transverse abdominis activation. With your abdominal separation, are you aware of what that is?
Not really.
No? Okay, so I'll just go through it with you. So you've got 4 tummy muscles, you've got your rectus abdominis, you've got your internal obliques, you've got your external obliques, and you've got your transverse abdominis, okay? So when your baby's growing, it can cause your rectus abdominis to stretch and stretch until it can't stretch anymore. And you've got a lining of the linea alba, which is down the center of your transverse abdominis, and that can pull apart when the baby, when the baby's growing and the rectus abdominis can't stretch anymore. So that's what causes the separation of the abdominals. Okay, so that's what I'm going to check for now. Alright, so if you want to place your hands just across your shoulders like this for me, just relaxing through the shoulders. Do you mind if I touch you? No? I'm just going to pop my fingers in between your belly button. Okay, so now what I want you to do is just take a breath in and just slightly bring your head off the mat, just slightly. Yep. And I'm going to go off again. And just one more time down the bottom. Good. And relaxing. What we'll go through next is your pelvic floor activation, okay? So imagine when you're trying to activate your pelvic floor, it's only 5% of contraction, so don't feel like you have to do this massive movement. You should really feel something move because it is internal, so you should only feel something slightly, okay?
Okay.
Excuse me, no hiccups. Imagine when you're drawing your pelvic floor that you're trying to suck a blueberry up a straw, or imagine that you're trying to hold in your wee, but don't actually hold in your wee when you're at the toilet, because it's actually not good for you. But I'm saying an analogy, just imagine that you're trying to do that.
Movement.
Yeah, okay. So what I want you to do is, so you want your shoulders in line, so your head resting back nice and slow. With your knees, just bring them up slightly, that's it. Okay, so what I want you to do now is I'm going to place my hands just in between your hip bones here.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so I want you to take a breath in for me, just relax. Now what I want you to do is try and imagine drawing that pelvic floor through the front passage. That's it.
Yeah. Slight movement.
Yeah, slight movement, that's it. Breathe in and exhale. Very good. Do you want to have a go? So if you pop your hands just below, So just below your hip bones.
So on exhaling, I'm drawing.
Yeah, so just take a breath in and then exhale, draw front passage. So you should feel only about 5%, just a slight movement.
It's a slight movement.
Yeah, that's it. How's that feeling?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so that's what your pelvic floor activation is, okay? So what we'll go through next is your transverse abdominis activation, okay? So what I want you to do is feel a cough on your oblique, so popping your hands just by your side. So you should feel a cough, just cough. Yeah. So you feel
I see where they are. I feel that. Yeah.
So that's your, my ankle's so sore. That's your obliques, okay? So what we want to do is to fix your abdominal separation. You want to have as little impact from your obliques as possible. So you really want to work it through your transverse abdominis, getting that back together. So when you've got overactive obliques, that can actually counteract helping the transverse abdominis come back together, because it's interfering. You're not really engaging through your TA when you should be, because your obliques are taking over. So with your transverse abdominis, so imagine when you're activating your transverse abdominis, you want to imagine that you're pulling your skin away from hot, like your undie line's hot. So where your undies are,
Yes.
imagine it's hot
Yeah.
and you're trying to pull your skin away from it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so pop in your hands just in between. Yeah, so there. Place one on your obliques as well. So just on the side, just under your ribs. That's it. So now breathing in. So exhale, drawing front passage in, but also try and pull that skin away from your undie line.
I don't feel anything from the obliques when I do that.
That's good. I can feel your TA engaging. Good. And do that again for me. Can you feel that there?
Yeah, I feel
So
it,
that's your TA activating.
but it's not the obliques active.
No, that's good. So let me have another feel. Go again. Go again. Yeah, there's not much movement between them, which is good, but I did feel the draw through your pelvic and your separation. Okay, so obviously I can only do as much as I can through touch and feel. That's why we always recommend to go see a women's health physio. So what they do is they give you real-time ultrasound, so you can actually see the activation through your pelvic floor. So when you activate through your pelvic floor, you draw in and up. So it's like an up and down movement. It's not like a pushing movement.
Yes.
And then when you draw your transverse abdominis, that's a side-to-side movement. So when you can actually visually see that through the ultrasound, it might give you a bit of more of a perspective on making you aware when you're doing and performing your exercises that you will find that activation, because you've visually seen it. If that makes sense.
Yes, if you see which muscles are in action, yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to go through like the real-time ultrasound also goes through like you can see where you overactivate. So if you're overactivating through your obliques or your transverse abdominis and things like that. So it's very handy to go. So where you're based in, because there's one in Manoggara, which isn't too far away, and she's quite good. She's called the Yummy Mummy Physio.
Okay.
But yeah, she's. I would recommend you going to see her. But we can talk about that later. Yeah.